The chamber was enormous, built to hold representatives from nearly 1,000 different worlds. Minho stood at the human delegation's platform, his uniform crisp and perfect. Beside him, Jiwan reviewed her notes one last time, though both of them knew it wouldn't matter. Ambassador Hyun Lee stood at the front, hands clasped behind his back, watching the alien delegates take their seats. The humans had been part of the galactic community for 23 years. 23 years of trade, diplomacy, and careful navigation through a political landscape that seemed designed to keep them small. Minho remembered the excitement when Earth first made contact. Everyone thought it would be the beginning of a golden age. Now he wasn't so sure. Thexlar, the Avian Council speaker, spread his wings and called the session to order. His feathers were a deep blue today, which Minho had learned meant serious business. The chamber fell silent. Thousands of eyes in every color and configuration imaginable turned toward the human platform. "We gather today to address the matter of humanity," Thexlar announced. His translator box rendered his chirping speech into standard galactic. "Multiple member civilizations have raised concerns. We must vote on Earth's continued membership in this council." Minho felt his jaw tighten. This was it. 3 months of backroom politics, whispered accusations, and closed-door meetings had led to this moment. Comment spoke first. The crystalline being's body reflected the chamber's lights in sharp, angry flashes. "Humanity expands too fast. In 2 decades, they have established 47 colonies. 47? Most species take centuries to reach such numbers. They consume resources at alarming rates. They build weapons when we have peace. They are dangerous." Ji-won stepped forward. "We expand to meet our population needs. We build defensive capabilities because we've learned the galaxy isn't always safe. Everything we've done follows council regulations." "Your regulations," another delegate hissed. This one was reptilian, from a world Minho couldn't remember. "You follow the letter of the law while ignoring its spirit. You are predators. Your world's history is written in blood. War after war after war. How long before you turn that nature on us?" "Ancient history," Hyun said calmly. "We've been peaceful members of this council." "Peaceful?" Comment's voice rose. "You maintain the largest military fleet of any species your age. You train every citizen in combat skills. You glorify warriors in your entertainment. You are a threat waiting to happen." More voices joined in. The Vexlor complained about human trade practices. The Shimmering Collective warned about human cultural contamination. The Nest World cited fear of human diseases. One by one, civilizations that had smiled at human diplomats and traded with human merchants now revealed their true feelings. Fear. That's what it came down to. They were afraid. Minho wanted to argue, to defend his species, but Hyun raised a hand. The ambassador's face was unreadable. He'd been a poker player before joining the diplomatic corps, and it showed. "If the council wishes to vote," Hyun said quietly, "then let us vote." Thexlar looked uncomfortable. His feathers ruffled. "Ambassador Lee, perhaps we should discuss terms. Limitations on expansion, military reductions, oversight committees." "No." Hyun's voice was firm. "You've made your concerns clear. Either we are members of this council or we are not. Let us vote and end this." The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. Apparently, the council had expected humans to beg, to negotiate, to offer concessions and plead for another chance. Thexlar called for order. "Very well. We vote on the motion to expel humanity from galactic space and revoke Earth's membership in this council. Those in favor." The display board lit up. Numbers climbed rapidly. Minho watched, his face carefully neutral, as civilization after civilization voted yes. 847 votes for expulsion. Those opposed? 23 votes. Most from species humanity had helped in recent years. A few who actually seemed to value human friendship. It wasn't nearly enough. "The motion passes," Thexlar announced. "Humanity is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council. All human colonies within recognized galactic borders must be evacuated within 10 standard years. All human vessels must—" "We accept," Hyun interrupted. The chamber fell silent. Comment's crystalline body stopped flashing. Thexlar's beak hung open. "What?" the speaker finally managed. "We accept the council's decision," Hyun repeated. He straightened his tie and picked up his data pad. "Earth will comply with the evacuation order. We will remove all human presence from galactic space. Is there anything else?" "Ambassador Lee," Thexlar said slowly, "perhaps we should discuss the timeline. 10 years may not be sufficient. It's more than sufficient, Hyun said. We'll be gone in 3. Ji-won was already packing her materials. Minyo stood at attention, waiting for orders. The other human delegates moved with quiet efficiency, gathering their things. You cannot be serious, Ka-min said. You would leave? Just like that? Hyun turned to face the crystalline being. His expression was cold. You voted to banish us. Did you expect us to stay? To beg you to reconsider? To promise we'd be good little humans if you gave us another chance? He shook his head. No, you made your decision. We respect it. Goodbye. The human delegation walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every alien representative watched them go, confusion evident on every face. At the door, Hyun paused and looked back. For the record, he said, we came to this council hoping for friendship, for partnership. We believed in what this body represented. Thank you for teaching us otherwise. Then they were gone. Minho followed Hyun through the corridor, their security team falling in around them. No one spoke until they reached the shuttle bay. Sir, Ji-won finally said, was that wise? We could have negotiated? No, Hyun said. He looked tired now, the poker face slipping. We couldn't. They fear us, Ji-won. Fear doesn't negotiate. It only demands submission or exile. They chose exile for us. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. So we'll give them exactly what they asked for. The protocol? Minyo asked quietly. Hyun nodded. Send the activation codes the moment we're in FTL. Protocol Exodus is now in effect. Minho pulled out his communicator and began typing. Behind them, Station Harmony grew smaller in the viewport. Ahead, Earth waited, and beyond Earth, beyond the galactic rim, beyond everything the Council thought they knew about humanity, other things waited too. Things the Council would never see, not unless humanity chose to show them. The vote was over. The expulsion was decided, but the galaxy had no idea what it had just set in motion. Hyun looked at the stars streaming past. They wanted us gone, he said softly. We're going to grant that wish so thoroughly. They'll spend years wondering if we were ever really here at all. The shuttle jumped to FTL, carrying the last official human presence away from the Galactic Council. 3 years, Minho thought. In 3 years, the galaxy would learn what humanity could do when rejected. He almost felt sorry for them. 3 months had passed since the vote. Admiral Soo-hyun Choi stood on the observation deck of Luna Command, watching the construction yards in orbit around Earth's moon. Dozens of massive ships hung in the darkness, crawling with workers and machinery. She'd been overseeing these projects for 5 years, always wondering if they'd ever be needed. Now she had her answer. Admiral, a young officer approached. Dr. Nam is here for the briefing. Soo-hyun nodded and headed to the conference room. Do-yoon was already there, surrounded by holographic displays showing engine designs and star charts. The scientist looked exhausted but excited. Show me, Soo-hyun said simply. Do-yoon waved his hand and the displays shifted. We've done it. True faster than light travel, not the jump gates the Council uses. Our ships can go anywhere without needing their infrastructure. He pulled up a comparison chart. Council ships can achieve 0.85 light speed between gates. Our new drives can maintain 0.995 in open space. How is that possible? Soo-hyun asked. The Council has had FTL technology for thousands of years. They stopped innovating, Do-yoon said. Why improve when what you have works well enough? They built their gates, established their routes, and settled into comfort. We couldn't afford comfort. We've been pushing the boundaries since day one. He grinned. Turns out having something to prove makes you creative. Soo-hyun studied the data. How many ships can we outfit? All of them. The ARC ships, the colony transports, the defense fleet. Everything we've built in the past 5 years. We just need another 18 months for full production. A message alert flashed on Soo-hyun's terminal. She opened it and felt a cold satisfaction settle over her. Governor Yoon reports Mars colony evacuation is ahead of schedule. They're stripping the atmospheric processors now. Taking everything? Do-yoon asked. Everything, Soo-hyun confirmed. Buildings, power cores, mining equipment, even the hydroponic soil. We're leaving them empty foundations and memories. Across human space, the same scene played out on 47 worlds. Minho coordinated the military aspects, ensuring every defense platform, every orbital station, every sensor array was dismantled and packed. Not destroyed. Taken. The galaxy would get nothing from humanity's departure. On Mars, Governor Hana Yoon walked through the capital city one last time. The streets were empty now, all 8 million colonists already aboard transport ships. Buildings stood hollow, their contents stripped and catalogued. She'd spent 15 years building this place. Now she was erasing it. "Governor," her aide said, "the Historical Society wants to know about the museums." Hana considered. "Leave them intact, perfectly preserved. I want every display, every artifact, every piece of human history on Mars to remain exactly as it is. Put a plaque outside in every council language. Make it clear. We were here, we built this, we chose to leave." "Ma'am, won't that give them our technology?" "Our old technology," Hana corrected. "Let them study our first-generation life support systems and early fusion reactors. By the time they figure out how they work, we'll be 3 generations ahead." Back on Earth, Yoon Ji-shin sat in a classified intelligence briefing room. Around her, analysts presented data on galactic reactions to the evacuation. "They're confused," one analyst said. "Council intelligence tried to infiltrate our colonies to observe the exodus. We caught 37 agents in the first month. What did you do with them?" Yoonji asked. "Sent them home with detailed tours. Showed them exactly how thoroughly we're leaving. Let them report that humanity is actually complying ahead of schedule." Another analyst pulled up communication intercepts. "The council expected protests. Appeals for reconsideration. There's been nothing. Total silence from Earth except for evacuation logistics." Yoonji smiled. "Good, let them wonder. What about the defections?" 43 alien civilians have requested to join the exodus. Mostly from the 23 species who voted against expulsion. Scientists, engineers, a few diplomats. Screen them carefully, Yoonji said. Anyone who passes gets a berth. We're not the council. We don't reject people for being different. The real secret, though, was happening beyond the galactic rim. Minho took a shuttle to the edge of known space to see it himself. The journey required 3 jump gate transfers and 2 weeks of conventional travel. When he finally arrived, what he saw took his breath away. Stations, hundreds of them. Massive construction platforms building something far larger than anything humanity had attempted before. And between them, ships. Not the small colony vessels the Council knew about. Warships, carriers, dreadnoughts. Things with weapons the Council had never imagined. "Welcome to Project Horizon," Admiral Soo-hyun said. She'd taken another shuttle to meet him. "We've been building out here for 3 years. The Council's sensors can't reach this far. They have no idea this exists." "How many?" Minho asked. 200 completed combat vessels, 400 more under construction. 5 ARC ships capable of carrying 10 million people each. 60 colony ships with terraforming capabilities beyond anything the Council uses. And that's just the first wave. Minho stared at the fleet. "We planned for this. Even before the vote, we planned for this. The moment we made contact with the Council, our best strategic minds ran the probabilities," Soo-hyun said. "Outcome: 73% chance of eventual rejection or conflict. So we prepared. Built in secret. Researched in hidden labs. Pushed our technology as hard as we could. The vote just accelerated our timeline. Does the Council suspect? They think we're running away," Soo-hyun said. "Tucking our tails and fleeing to some corner of the galaxy to lick our wounds. They have no concept of what we're actually doing." Back on Earth, Hyun-Lee addressed the planetary assembly. The speech was broadcast to every human colony, every ship, every station. "They asked us to leave," he said. "Some of you are angry. Some are hurt. Some want revenge. I understand. But this is not an ending. This is a beginning. For 23 years we've operated under Council rules, Council restrictions, Council fear. No more. We're going beyond their borders, beyond their influence. We're going to build something they can't imagine, a human civilization that doesn't answer to anyone but ourselves." The assembly erupted in applause. Hyun waited for silence before continuing. "In 3 years, there will be no human presence in Council space. Not a single ship, not a single outpost. We will leave peacefully, taking everything we've built. And then we will show the galaxy what humanity can accomplish when we're free to be ourselves." 18 months later, Ji-won stood on the observation deck of the ARC ship New Horizon and watched the last transport leave Earth's orbit. Below, the planet still teemed with life. 8 billion people remained. Earth wasn't being abandoned, just liberated from Council jurisdiction. "That's the last colony ship," the captain reported. "All human presence is now withdrawn from Council space. We're 3 months ahead of schedule." Ji-won opened a communication channel. This is Ambassador Kim to all human vessels. Initiate final phase. Set course for the rendezvous point beyond the rim. Across human space, ships activated their new drives. They didn't use Council jump gates. Didn't follow Council routes. They simply pointed toward the darkness beyond the galactic rim and jumped to speeds the Council thought impossible. On Station Harmony, Thexelar received the report with disbelief. Gone? He repeated. All of them? Every colony evacuated, his aide confirmed. Every station dismantled. Every ship withdrawn. Humanity has completely removed itself from Council space. 3 years ahead of schedule. Comment's voice came over the communication system. This is suspicious. They're planning something. They're complying with our demands, Thexelar said, but even he didn't sound convinced. In the darkness beyond the rim, the human fleet gathered. 50,000 ships, from massive arc vessels to small scout craft. Millions of humans who chose to join the exodus. And ahead of them, new worlds waiting to be claimed. Soo-Hyun stood on the bridge of her flagship and gave the order. All ships proceed to New Terra. Our future begins now. Rexel's ship dropped out of FTL near what used to be the human colony on Kepler 442. The insectoid captain rubbed his mandibles together in anticipation. Humans had built a thriving city here, complete with advanced factories and power generation facilities. Now that they were gone, all of it was free for the taking. Scan for salvage, he ordered his crew. The sensor operator's antennae drooped. Captain, I'm not reading much. Almost nothing, actually. Impossible. 20,000 humans lived here. Where are the buildings? The machines? They descended to the surface. What they found made Rexel's blood run cold. The colony was there. The foundations, anyway. Streets laid out in neat grids. Building foundations perfectly intact. But everything else was gone. The walls, the roofs, the power systems, the factories. All removed with surgical precision. They took it, his second-in-command whispered. They took everything. Rexel walked through the empty streets. It was like touring a skeleton. The bones remained, but all the flesh had been stripped away. Even the lampposts were gone, leaving only the concrete bases. The parks existed as flat earth, every tree and bush removed. The agricultural domes were empty shells, the soil itself scooped out and taken. At the city center, something remained. A building, perfectly intact. Rexel approached carefully and found it was a museum. Inside, displays showed the colony's history. Photos of smiling humans building homes. Videos of children playing in parks that no longer existed. Artifacts from Earth carefully preserved and labeled. At the entrance, a plaque in every council language read, "Humanity lived here for 18 years. We built homes and raised families. We turned a dead world into a garden. When the galaxy told us to leave, we took our garden with us. Remember that we were here. Remember that you sent us away. Remember that we would have stayed." Rexel felt something unfamiliar, shame perhaps, or maybe just the realization that humanity's departure was far more final than anyone expected. The same scene repeated across 47 worlds. Scavengers and opportunists arrived expecting treasures and found only ghosts. The Vexler tried to claim a human mining operation in the Talus system and discovered every piece of equipment removed, every ore deposit mined to exhaustion before evacuation. The processing facilities remained as empty buildings, their machinery gone. On the council station, Thexelar reviewed reports with growing unease. Commander Jamin Ko had been the last human to leave council space, leading the final evacuation wave. Before departing, he'd sent a final message that was now being analyzed by every intelligence agency in the galaxy. To the Galactic Council, the message read, "Humanity has complied with your expulsion order. We have removed all presence from your space. We have taken what was ours and left what was yours. The museums and monuments we left behind are gifts. Learn from them. In them, you will find the truth of who we were. Perhaps someday you will regret not learning it while we were still here." Arrogant, Comment said during an emergency council session. They act as though they are the injured party. They are the injured party, said a delegate from the Whispering Pools, one of the 23 who had voted against expulsion. We exiled them for the crime of being different. We exiled them for being dangerous. And now they're gone, Thexelar said quietly. Which should please you, Comment. So why do I sense you are not pleased? Comment's crystalline body flickered. Something is wrong. They left too easily, too completely. No species abandons 47 colonies without protest. No species evacuates millions of citizens ahead of schedule. They are planning something. Planning what? another delegate asked. They're gone. Beyond the rim. Out of council space entirely. Mirai Seo had been a journalist documenting the exodus for human archives. Now she was part of a small team monitoring council communications. What they were picking up was fascinating. Economic disruptions in 17 sectors, she reported to Jiwon, who now served as information coordinator for New Terra. Human trade routes are collapsing. Species that relied on our shipping are scrambling for alternatives. Let me guess, Jiwon said. The alternatives are more expensive and less reliable. Significantly. Also medical supplies. We were the primary manufacturer of 7 different critical medications. The council is facing shortages. They'll adapt, Jiwon said, but she didn't sound sympathetic. More troubling reports filtered in. 3 council ships had tried to follow the human Exodus fleet. None returned. The council sent search parties. They found the ships drifting in space, crews unharmed but memories scrambled. None could remember what they'd seen beyond the rim. What did you do to them? Thexlar demanded when he managed to get a communication through to human space. Yenli's face appeared on screen, older now with gray in his hair. They entered restricted space without permission. We deleted their navigational data and erased their short-term memories of our territory. Then we sent them home. We could have done worse. Be grateful we didn't. You have no right. We have every right, Hyun interrupted. You exiled us from your space. This is our space now. Your ships are not welcome here. Your probes are not welcome here. Stay in your galaxy, Speaker Texler. We'll stay in ours, the communication cut off. It was the last direct contact between humanity and the Council for 2 years. In that time, the galaxy changed. Pirate attacks increased in sectors that human patrols used to cover. The humans had never advertised their anti-piracy operations, but their absence was felt. Ships went missing. Trade routes became dangerous. A plague broke out on 3 Vexlor worlds. Usually, they would purchase human medical assistance. Now they had to develop their own cure. It took 6 months. 40,000 died who wouldn't have if humans had still been around. Small conflicts erupted in regions where human diplomats had been quietly mediating disputes. Without their neutral presence, old hatreds reignited. Nothing major. Just enough violence to make people notice the absence. Junho An captained a stealth reconnaissance ship that occasionally crossed back into council space. His orders were simple: observe but don't interfere. What he saw disturbed him. The council is struggling, he reported back to command. Not collapsing, but definitely struggling. Economically, militarily, socially. We were more integrated into their society than they realized. Our absence is creating problems, and is that our concern? Soo-hyun asked. No, ma'am. Just an observation. The 23 species who had voted against human expulsion were suffering most. They'd built close relationships with humanity. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, mutual defense pacts, all of that ended when humans left. Then 2 years after the Exodus, they made their choice. One by one, they announced they were leaving the Council. Their ships gathered at the edge of Council space and requested permission to enter human territory. Sunmi Park, now serving as ambassador to what humans were calling the Hidden Fleet, met with their leaders. You want to join us? She asked. We want to be where our friends are, the Whispering Pool delegate said. The Council chose fear. We choose hope. It won't be easy, Sunmi warned. We're building something new out here. Something that's never been tried. It's going to take work. We're willing to work, they said. And so the first alien ships entered human space beyond the rim. What they found there stunned them. Cities rising on new worlds, massive space stations, research facilities pushing the boundaries of science, and everywhere humans working with a purpose that seemed almost manic. You've built all this in 2 years, one delegate asked. We've built this because we had to, Hana Yoon, now president of New Terra, told them. Because we couldn't rely on anyone else. Because we learned that being accepted is less important than being strong. Back in Council space, Comment received reports of the defections with fury. Traitors. They abandon us for the humans. Perhaps they see something we don't, Thexlar said. He looked old now, his feathers dull. Perhaps they see what we lost when we voted out of fear. We lost nothing, Comment insisted. The humans are gone. The galaxy is safer. But even Comment didn't sound convinced anymore. In the museums on 47 empty worlds, the plaques remained. Silent reminders of a people who had been there and chosen to leave. Some delegates visited them, walking through the preserved history with something like regret. The monuments stood in the darkness, lights still powered by automated systems humanity had left behind. They would stand for centuries, testimonies to a civilization that had offered friendship and been given exile in return. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Absence can speak louder than presence, and sometimes what you throw away is what you needed most. 3 years had passed since humanity crossed the galactic rim. 3 years of absolute silence from beyond the border. The Council tried everything. Long-range scans detected nothing. Communication attempts went unanswered. Probe ships either never returned or came back with their memories wiped. Humanity had vanished. Thexlar stood in his office looking at reports that made his feathers stand on end. The galaxy was falling apart, slowly perhaps, but undeniably. Another sector war, his aide reported. The Krent and the Velok, fighting over mining rights in the outer arm. Send peacekeepers, Thexlar said automatically. Sir, we don't have any. The Peacekeeping Corps lost 60% of its manpower when the humans left. Most of our trained mediators were human. Thexlar had forgotten that, or maybe he'd never known. Humans had been so integrated into Council operations that their absence revealed gaps no one had noticed before. The economy was worse. Without human shipping, trade costs had increased by 40%. Without human manufacturing, several crucial industries were struggling. Without human medical research, 3 new diseases had no cures in development. How did we become so dependent on them? Thexlar wondered aloud. We didn't think we were dependent, his aide said. They were just very good at filling needs. Now those needs are unfilled. On Kamian's homeworld, riots had broken out. The crystalline people were starving. Their world produced little food, relying on imports. Humans had provided 70% of those imports at reasonable prices. Now other suppliers charged triple and delivered half as much. Comment tried to maintain dignity, but desperation was setting in. The being who had led the charge to expel humanity now watched their own people suffer because of it. Contact the humans. Comment finally ordered. Request trade negotiations, the message was sent. No response came. Not a refusal, just silence. Send it again, Comment demanded. We've sent 47 messages, Counselor. They're ignoring us. Deep in human territory, Suhyun read the messages and deleted them without comment. She had more important things to worry about. New Terra was thriving, but it was only one world. Humanity was expanding fast, claiming systems far beyond anything the Council had explored. The new FTL drives made it possible. Ships could reach distant stars in days instead of months. Survey teams were finding habitable worlds at an incredible rate. Colony ships followed close behind. We've established 63 new colonies in the past 2 years, Doyun reported during a strategic meeting. Population is growing through both births and immigration from Earth. At current rates, we'll have over 200 colonies within 5 years. Resources? Hana asked. She was president now, governing an empire that was growing faster than anyone had anticipated. Abundant. We're finding systems rich in minerals, rare elements, and habitable worlds. The galaxy beyond the rim is mostly unexplored. We have our pick of the best locations. Minho, now a fleet admiral, brought up security concerns. We've detected Council probe ships trying to penetrate our border 3 times this month. We keep sending them back with their memories wiped, but they're persistent. They want to know what we're doing out here, Hana said. Let them wonder, Hyun suggested. He'd retired from active diplomacy, but still advised the government. The more mysterious we are, the more they'll imagine. Their fear of the unknown is stronger than any threat we could actually make. Meanwhile, Junho continued his stealth missions into Council space. His latest report was disturbing. Civil unrest in 42 sectors. Resource shortages in 71. 6 active conflicts that would have been prevented by human mediation. The Council is losing control and they know it. Should we help? Someone asked during the briefing. No, Hana said firmly. They made their choice. They voted to remove us. We're respecting that vote. What happens in their space is their problem. But it was hard to ignore. Humans monitoring Council communications heard pleas for assistance. Medical emergencies. Humanitarian crises. Pirates attacking civilian ships in regions human patrols used to protect. It's difficult, Ji-won admitted to Mirai one evening. Mirai was still documenting everything, building a historical record for future generations. We're not cruel people. We want to help. But if we do, we validate their decision to take us for granted. So we let them suffer? We let them learn, Ji-won corrected. They need to understand that we were valuable. that we contributed, that exiling us had consequences. The 23 allied species had fully integrated into human space now. They contributed their own knowledge, their own cultures, their own strengths. The result was a civilization that was becoming more than just human. It was becoming something new. Sunmi worked with the allied species to establish the Human Compact. Not just a political union, but a genuine partnership. Species working together because they chose to, not because a council forced them. We're building what the council should have been, one allied delegate told her. A union based on mutual respect, not fear. Then came the energy readings. Long-range sensors detected massive power signatures from deep in human territory. The council's scientists couldn't explain them. The readings suggested technology far beyond anything in the council's database. What are they building out there? Thexlar demanded. No one had answers. Only speculation. Some thought weapons. Others thought massive construction projects. A few suggested the humans had found something in the dark beyond the rim. Something that gave them new capabilities. All of it was true in a way. Humanity had found freedom beyond the rim. Freedom to innovate without council restrictions. Freedom to build without council oversight. Freedom to become something greater than they'd ever been allowed to be. Do-Yoon's research teams had made breakthrough after breakthrough. New power systems that made council fusion reactors look primitive. Weapons that operated on principles council scientists hadn't theorized. Shield technology that could shrug off attacks that would cripple council ships. We're not just advancing, Do-Yoon told Soo-hyun. We're leaping forward. Every month we're making discoveries that would have taken decades under council restrictions. Keep it secret, Soo-hyun ordered. The council doesn't need to know our capabilities. Then came the ultimatum. The 23 allied species had been quiet members of the council before joining humanity. Now they formally announced their departure, sent messages to all council members, declared their allegiance to the Human Compact. We cannot remain in a council that chooses fear over friendship, their joint statement read. We cannot support an organization that exiles its most innovative members. We choose to stand with humanity. If that makes us outcasts, then we embrace that status proudly. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Losing 23 member species was a significant blow. These weren't minor civilizations. Several were major economic powers. Their departure would hurt. This is humanity's doing, Comment accused. They're stealing our members. No one is stealing anyone, the Whispering Pool delegate said calmly. We are choosing. You should understand choice, counselor. You chose to expel the humans. We choose to join them, traitors. Survivors, the delegate corrected. We saw what humanity could become without your restrictions. We want to be part of that future, not shackled to a past built on fear. The delegates walked out, never to return. Their ships gathered at the border and crossed into human space. They were welcomed with celebrations and genuine warmth. Hana addressed them personally. You gave up a lot to come here. Status, security, familiarity. We'll make sure you don't regret it. We already don't, they replied. Back in council space, the problems mounted. More sector conflicts, more economic struggles, more cries for help that went unanswered because the people who used to answer them were gone. Thexlar looked at his aide with tired eyes. How long can we continue like this? Unknown, sir. But we're receiving reports of another issue. Long-range scanners have detected unusual activity near the galactic edge. Movement. Energy signatures. Something large. More human construction? We don't think so, sir. The readings don't match human technology. This is something else. Something moving toward council space. Thexlar felt a chill run through his body. Send scout ships. I want to know what's out there. The scout ships went out. Some returned with fuzzy sensor data. Others didn't return at all. What they reported was terrifying. Something was coming. Something vast and hostile. Something that had noticed the galaxy and was moving toward it with clear intent. The Kreltok swarm. An extragalactic threat that devoured civilizations. And the Council's military, weakened by decades of peace and the loss of their strongest potential allies, was in no position to stop them. Thexlar made a decision he'd been dreading for 3 years. Send a message to human space, he ordered. All channels. Maximum priority. Sir, they haven't responded to any previous messages. This is different, Thexlar said. This is a call for help. And despite everything, I think humans will answer. The message was sent into the darkness beyond the rim, a plea from the council that had expelled humanity. We need you. Please help us." Then they waited for a response that might never come. The Krell-Talk swarm hit the outer colonies first. Millions of organic ships, each one a living weapon, descended on council worlds like locusts. They consumed everything: people, buildings, entire ecosystems. When they left, nothing remained but barren rock. The council fleet engaged them near the Verlac system. 3,000 ships representing hundreds of civilizations formed the largest military force the council had ever assembled. The swarm destroyed them in 42 minutes. Thexelar watched the battle from the command center, his feathers trembling. The swarm ships were biological nightmares. They adapted to weapons in real time, shrugged off attacks that should have vaporized them, and moved with terrifying coordination. "Fall back," he ordered. "Evacuate the outer sectors." "To where?" his military commander asked. "They're not stopping. They're going to eat the entire galaxy." Comment appeared on screen, their crystalline body dim with despair. "This is your fault, Thexelar. If we still had the humans, if we still had their military—" "Don't," Thexelar said. "We all voted. We all chose this." "Then we all die," Comment said, and the transmission cut off. The message to human space had been sent 3 weeks ago. No response. Thexelar sent another one. Then another. Desperate pleas for help, for assistance, for anything. Silence. "They're not coming," his aide said quietly. "Why would they? We exiled them." Thexelar wanted to argue but couldn't. The humans had every right to let the council burn. Every right to sit beyond their border and watch the galaxy that rejected them fall to an alien threat. Another sector fell. Then another. The swarm was accelerating, learning the galaxy's layout, finding the populated worlds and consuming them systematically. 7 years had passed since humanity's exile. 7 years of silence, and now, in the Council's darkest hour, that silence felt like judgment. Then in the darkness of space near the galactic rim, something appeared. Sensors detected ships. A lot of ships, moving fast, faster than anything the Council had ever built. They didn't use jump gates. They just appeared, traveling at speeds that should have been impossible. "Identify them," Thexelar demanded. The sensor operator's voice shook. "Sir, they're human." The fleet was massive. 500 capital ships, each one larger than anything in the Council fleet. Thousands of support vessels, fighters that moved like predators. And at the center, a flagship that dwarfed everything around it. The UHT Indomitable. Woo-Sung Lim stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the tactical display. The swarm was spread across 12 sectors now, consuming everything in its path. Good. That would make them easier to find. "All ships, battle formation," he ordered. "Prepare to engage." Fleet Admiral Minho Park watched from the command center on New Terra. He'd wanted to lead this personally, but Hana had other plans for him. Woo-Sung was one of their best commanders. He'd handle it. "Admiral," a communications officer said, "we're receiving a message from the Council. Speaker Thexelar wants to talk. Put him through." Thexelar's face appeared on screen. He looked old, broken. "Admiral Park, thank you for coming." "I know we have no right to ask—" "You don't," Minho interrupted. "You exiled us. You told us we were dangerous, that our presence threatened the galaxy. You voted to remove us from your space." "I know. I'm sorry. We were wrong." "Sorry isn't enough," Minho said. "But we're not here for apologies. We're here because letting an extragalactic threat consume this galaxy would be stupid. Once they're done with you, they'd come for us next. This is self-defense, nothing more. I understand. What do you need from us?" "Stay out of our way," Minho said and cut the connection. The human fleet engaged the swarm near the ruins of the Verlac system. The Krell-Talk ships, having adapted to Council weapons, swarmed forward with confidence. They'd never encountered human weapons before. The first volley from the human fleet was devastating. Weapons operating on principles the swarm had no defense against. Particle beams that didn't just destroy tissue but disintegrated molecular bonds. Missiles that phased through bioarmor before detonating inside the target. Energy fields that disrupted the swarm's neural coordination. The swarm tried to adapt. Couldn't. The weapons kept changing, each ship deploying different systems, making adaptation impossible. It was like fighting 1,000 different enemies at once. "Target the cluster formations," Woo-Sung ordered. "Break their coordination." Human fighters swept through swarm formations like knives. Where Council ships had been slow and predictable, Human vessels moved with frightening agility. They flew patterns that shouldn't have been possible, pulled maneuvers that should have killed their pilots, and struck with surgical precision. The swarm began to retreat. First time in their recorded history, they'd encountered something that could hurt them, and they didn't like it. "Don't let them regroup," Wusong commanded. "Press the attack," the human fleet pursued. Over the next 3 weeks, they systematically hunted down every swarm ship in Council space. No mercy, no quarter, just efficient, brutal extermination. The galaxy watched in awe and terror. This wasn't the humanity they remembered. This was something else, something that had evolved beyond Council understanding in just 7 years. When the last swarm ship was destroyed, Wusong sent a message to the Council. "Threat eliminated. You're welcome." Then President Hana Yoon arrived on the flagship, ready to address the Council in person for the first time since the Exodus. She walked into the Council chamber wearing a simple suit, no ceremony, no pageantry. Just a human woman who now commanded a civilization that had saved the galaxy. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to see this, wanted to hear what humanity would say. Hana stood at the central platform and looked around. She saw Thexlar looking smaller than she remembered. She saw Comment, their crystalline body cracked and dim. She saw the faces of species that had voted to exile her people. 7 years ago, she began, you voted to remove humanity from this council. You said we were dangerous, too aggressive, too warlike. A threat to galactic peace. Silence. No one dared interrupt. You were right, Hana continued. We are dangerous. We are aggressive. When threatened, we become something terrifying. You saw a glimpse of it today. The swarm that destroyed your fleets in minutes, we exterminated them in 3 weeks. That's what humanity can do when we stop holding back. Comment spoke up, voice weak. Then why did you come? If you hate us, why save us? Because letting you die would haunt us, Hana said simply. Because as much as you hurt us, as much as you rejected us, we couldn't stand by and watch an extragalactic threat consume this galaxy. That's what you never understood about humanity. We're dangerous, yes, but we're also loyal. Even to people who don't deserve it. She pulled out a data pad. I'm here to present the Treaty of the Verge. It establishes permanent borders between Council space and human territory. We will trade with you on our terms. We will help in galactic emergencies if we choose to. But we are not members of your council. We don't answer to your laws. We are a separate, independent civilization. You're dividing the galaxy, someone protested. The galaxy was already divided, Hana countered. You divided it when you voted to expel us. This treaty just makes it official. You have your space. We have ours. We can coexist as neighbors but not as subjects and rulers. Thexlar stood slowly. What if we ask you to rejoin the council? As equals this time. With guarantees? No, Hana said. That ship has sailed. You taught us that we can't rely on others for protection or acceptance. We learned that lesson well. Too well to forget it now. She transmitted the treaty to every council terminal. These are our terms. Take them or leave them. Either way, we're done here. As she turned to leave, Hyun Lee walked into the chamber. He'd come as an observer, wanting to see this moment. He approached Thexlar directly. Ambassador Lee, Thexlar said. It's been a long time. Has it? Hyun looked at him coldly. I remember every day of the past 7 years, Speaker. Every moment of building something new. Every challenge we overcame without your help. Every advancement we made without your restrictions. Will humanity ever forgive us? Thexlar asked quietly. Hyun considered the question. Around them, the chamber had gone silent, everyone listening. Forgiveness is complicated, he finally said. You didn't just hurt us. You taught us who we are. You showed us what we could become when we stopped trying to fit into your galaxy and built our own instead. So no, we don't forgive you. But we also don't need to. We've moved past you. That's worse than hatred, Thexlar said. Yes, Hyun agreed. It is. He turned and walked away, following Hana out of the chamber. Behind them, the council sat in stunned silence. Outside, the human fleet waited. Wusong stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, ready to return home. Home to New Terra and the 100 other human worlds beyond the rim. Home to a civilization that had been forged in rejection and tempered in isolation. All ships, he ordered, set course for human space. The fleet turned away from the council, from the galaxy that had expelled them, and jumped to speeds that still amazed the species watching. In moments, they were gone, leaving only the treaty terms and the memory of their power. On New Terra, Minho stood with Ji-won and Do-yoon, watching the fleet return on the displays. "We saved them," Ji-won said. "We saved ourselves," Minho corrected. "Saving them was just a side effect. Will they honor the treaty?"